Hello, welcome back to the Pretty Mamas podcast with Julie Jeppson production. Did I say it right?
Yes, you did.
Yes. Happy that you're here. We also love the comments that are coming in. So happy that you are sending them on YouTube, on the actual podcast itself, giving reviews, all those things. If you haven't already, like, subscribe to the podcast, like it, share it. If something sticks out to you, please
Have you seen
recommend
the
it.
hype button? What is the hype button on YouTube?
I have no idea.
It's new. It's like, do you want to hype this podcast?
Use the
I'm
hype
like,
button, okay? We don't know what it
what
does,
it
but
means,
use it.
I'll do it.
We wanted to give a couple of shout outs. First of all, I love you, Nichelle. She's been a faithful viewer, even on the vlog for a long time. And same with, of course, Shalise Benjamin. We love you. But we're reading some of these comments. This one I really like. This is from Torima Honey 1840. I want a friend like Carly and Julie. So glad you both have each other.
Oh, that's sweet.
That is
Mac
sweet.
asked me today, one of my kids asked me today, are you Julie's best friend? I was like, I'm sure Julie has lots of best friends.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's cute.
That was cute, yeah.
Yes, you are. And then let's see, we've got, Fala Jen.
I literally can't read it from here.
7266. Thank you, Carly. So glad you tell it like it is, which is usually people tell me that. You just like to tell
That's
it
why
like
I
it
think
is,
we're,
huh, Julie?
We're similar,
Yeah.
I think, in that way, yeah.
But they always say it to me like it's a bad thing. Well,
Yes.
well, you don't sugarcoat it, do you, Julie?
Yeah.
I'm like,
It depends on who you talk to. Some people love it and some people hate it.
Yes.
It just is what it is.
that's
okay,
what I get so
guys?
bugged about is when people say, you don't need to be posting this. I'm like, just because I don't have to do what you like, what you think is appropriate. I don't post my children online. Well, I do. Like, why does that make me a bad person? You know?
I think you become an adult when you realize that you don't have to be like anybody else.
Gosh.
You can do what you want to do.
No kidding.
Because you're a grown up.
This was just because there were red flags doesn't mean you made the wrong decision. God gave you the answer, and that answer doesn't take his agency away. Carly is so right. I would love to hear more about Dana's story about how she was poisoned. So
Which we're working on, guys.
We are working on. We are struggling with
We tried to
third
get
mic.
the third mic tonight and it wasn't working.
Not happening yet. Anyway, and some people are time stamping things with things that they like. So
Which
we
I
read
think
these.
is cool.
Yeah.
I think it's cool.
I
I love to go back and look at the ones on YouTube. People on YouTube have been traditionally, or not traditionally, historically kinder.
Yes.
Which
Then
is
they
kind
do
of
on the podcast.
surprising.
I know.
To me.
This one I love, though. She talks about, this is Sarah Barron's 9297. He was not a mediator, because I was ripping on the mediator that was like super biased.
Oh, yeah.
She said, first rule is neutrality, full stop. He should not be making analogies about your behavior. Even if you were in a caucus, there is no hard time frame or deadline for a resolution, and certainly not for you to accept the petitioner's offer. I would ask for a new mediator. Like, she was awesome. So I loved her comment too. So keep them coming. We're reading them. One of these days we'll go live and do a Q&A on YouTube.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah. Last week, I kind of left off talking about how I was irritated. Gosh, am I irritated all the time?
You are, I think John Deloney would say that, like, your nervous system is out of whack all the time. You're doing
It really is.
so
Here's
much.
another shout out to Precision Stellate. Is that how you say stellate? The ganglion block. Austin Miller at Precision Stellate and Kendall, his partner, are doing stellate ganglion blocks in your neck to kind of calm down the nervous system and decrease the cortisol. So if you want to know more about that, you can DM me and I can get you their information, because they have saved people's lives, literal lives. But last week we were talking, or I left off talking about how I was in a Relief Society lesson, and they just had like an arrow, or what's this called? Like a little pedigree chart kind of thing. It was one line went down to a.
Yeah, it's like an arrow. I mean, it's
I'm
it's
showing
not
it
the
on,
arrow like you're thinking, though. How do you describe that?
an upside down V.
It's a triangle,
Right?
Yeah.
Yes, a triangle without the bottom line, upside down V, and there were arrows pointing to one side, and that said peacemaker, and on the other side it said contention. And I was sitting in this lesson while the Relief Society sisters are all talking about how we need to be peacemakers, or keep, how does she just being
peacemakers,
peacemakers.
probably. Yeah.
But they were saying it in a way that was just like so Relief Society. Don't cause trouble. You know, basically it was sweeping everything under the rug, and don't say things that are going to be that are going to cause issues. It was just kind of all under that vein.
How old was the lady teaching the lesson?
They were old.
Because I don't know that I would say it's Relief Society as much as I would say it is a generational.
Yes.
It's something that is a gap in generations. It used to be, I mean, it's kind of that era of children should be seen and not heard.
Yeah.
Right? It's that kind of generation. And
don't talk about suicide.
Don't talk about
anything.
You don't talk about anything.
But also it was because it was shameful.
Right. Well, I mean, but that's the thing is everything was shameful.
Yeah.
Right? Like you don't talk about mental health. You don't like fill in the blank with 100 different things you don't talk about. I don't think it's religious. I don't think it's our particular religion. I think it's generational.
Yeah. So, but half these women were from that generation. And I was just sitting there kind of fuming like, ugh. Because the other line was contention. And I was like, Kate, so we are being taught now by these older women.
It's black or white.
Yes. You either keep the peace or you're a contention. Like you're contentious. Mm-hmm. And I raised my hand.
What did you say?
Oh my gosh. And she's called on me. I was like, I'm sorry. I have to do something. And I stood up and I was like, I'm really sorry that I'm interrupting the lesson. And I grabbed the dry erase marker and right down the middle of that V, I wrote a line down in the middle with an arrow. And I wasn't quite sure like which word I wanted to use, but it was like peacemaker, contention on the other side. And so down the middle, I was like, it's not always this black or white, ladies. So I wrote defender down the middle.
Okay. Like defender of truth.
Yeah. Just like defending, like, just because, I mean, I'm thinking of, if you're familiar with, the Book of Mormon and some of the stories in there, like Tiancum is one of my favorites. He is jumping over the city walls and stabbing people with a javelin in the heart.
Like, Ammon who cuts off 2,000
Ammon
arms.
cutting off the arms. I mean, like, and, Gidgedoni, was he good or bad? Anyway, there's like, but Tiancum he's a bad mamma jamma, and he would just like take business into his, into his own hands and just slay, the dragon or the bad guy. And it was righteous, Well,
a lot of people who don't believe in the Book of Mormon will talk about how Christ turned over the tables at the temple, right? He cleansed the temple in anger.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that's bothered me all the time. Cause I'm like, during this whole court battle, I've been like, well, am I turning the tables like Jesus, or do I pull away like he did, and hide away and away from everyone? Cause he did both. And I don't know where the balance is between being a peacemaker, from what I consider to be a peacemaker and what I've learned and grown up with my whole life in this culture. Or when do I get to be Tiancum?
Well, yeah. Well, it's versus
stab someone.
Remember, was it our last podcast or two? The last time we recorded, so 1 or 2 podcasts ago, when I mentioned peacekeepers and peacemakers. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
And we had a couple comments about people that were confused, and I was like, well, yeah, because I used the wrong word because it was 11 o'clock at night, and I'm an idiot. But the idea is that you can be a peacemaker or a peacekeeper.
Yeah. Carly brought this up to me because it's bothered me. And in that lesson, it bothered me. So I wrote defender I didn't try to take over the lesson, but I was like, I'm sorry. I'm just sitting in this lesson, listening to you guys talk about how to keep the peace. I said, but what should I have done in my situation? Kept the peace by letting him run me over. And it was
you did that for years.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was my bishop. Cause I was like, I don't feel like I'm supposed to be doing this. I don't feel like I should, be defending and putting, I should, I didn't say this, but it was in my nature. It's not even in my nature. It was what I was taught. It was intrinsic. It was, what's the word?
Maybe what you saw.
Yeah.
The example set for you.
Yes. It was just to be peaceful and just to let it go.
Well,
just always let it go.
This is when we need to have this conversation, because the difference between being a peacemaker and a peacekeeper is significant, right?
Yeah, which I don't even think I knew that there was a difference. It was just constantly but so it was my bishop who said, Julie, put the shield down and start, and put the boxing gloves on. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what? Because to me, that's not keeping the peace. Right. But go ahead and
Okay, so I sent this to Julie because I found it in trying to articulate my thoughts. I just made a few Google searches and I found this article. It's actually from KSL, but they say peacekeepers are passive, while peacemakers are bold. And when we're talking about these words, Julie was like, I can never remember which is which. And I was like, remember it this way, because a peacemaker, you have to make effort. You have to be willing to do uncomfortable things and work, right? You're making something. Whereas a peacekeeper, it's like you're keeping the status quo. You're not doing anything, right?
I can remember that as being a peace, like a keeper, like a goalkeeper. You're guarding the ball and you're going to push everything away. Just push it away and don't deal with it.
Just bat it away. Yeah.
So give them the example.
Which, if you're going to use that example, it's actually pretty good, because do you know what happens to the ball once the keeper bats it away?
It just...
If you want your keeper to hold that ball, because if you don't, it changes what they can do and how the players respond, and you're gonna get scored on if that keeper doesn't catch the ball. Basically, you do not want a keeper who bats that away. The reason I can say this fairly confidently is because one of my kids plays at a very high level.
Of soccer, and I don't know anything about the sport,
so
except to kick the ball.
It was our life for quite a while, but anyway. It's a great analogy, because you do not want to be the one batting things away. It is not a successful strategy in soccer to bat it away. They teach you as a keeper to hold the ball. You don't want to just let it bounce off your hand, because it goes back into play. And you can't get up off the ground long enough to stop it again. Yeah. Right? So you want to be in a position as a keeper where you can
hold the ball.
You don't stop the ball. You hold, you stop it, but it's in your hand. You keep it.
I'm trying not to go off on a tangent, because I know.
We all know people love our tangents. You either love it or hate it. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
So we'll get back to it. But it reminds me of one time I was reading the last time in church when we were, the year was the New Testament year. And I decided, I'm like, I don't want to focus on the parables. I don't want to focus on the miracles. I want to focus on the characteristics of Jesus himself, like him as a person. What did he do? And so I started writing down the characteristics of him as a man, as a being, and some of the things he did were he called people liars. He straight up called them liars.
Called them out.
He called them hypocrites. It said a lot of the time he hid away. He would leave the scene. He hid away. But the one I think that I loved the most, that made the biggest difference to me, was that he held his peace. So just like you're holding this ball, you're protecting it. Jesus, when he's being questioned by Pilate, and when he's being questioned by, these, which is hilarious that it's corrupt attorneys half the time, and Sadducees and Pharisees questioning Jesus, he held his peace a lot. He held it, and didn't bat it away, So just another thing to think about. But do you want to tell them what your mom?
Oh, which part about my mom?
That's a nice and kind. Is this what we're talking about? Is that the same thing?
Which example? No.
The something in her teeth.
Oh, yeah, that's nice and kind.
So this is a different.
Yeah, I mean, I can use it, but it's more for nice and kind.
Okay, another topic. Go ahead.
Okay, so peacekeepers are passive, while peacemakers are bold. Peacekeepers avoid, while peacemakers engage. Peacekeepers minimize conflict, but peacemakers maximize crucial questions and conversations. Peacekeepers are content with surface control. Peacemakers dive deep to uncover source problems or misunderstandings. And peacekeepers function from weakness. Peacemakers function from strength. And as I have studied this and learned about it more, there are a few people that I really love. I've had a few comments, like what podcasts is Carly listening to, and things like that. One of them is Jefferson Fisher. He's an attorney who's so incredible when it comes to communication. And there's another gal, her name is Jessica Miller, but I only knew her on YouTube and Instagram. Her handle is Mind Your Boundaries, and she's a therapist, I believe, and she specializes in boundaries. But boundaries are super big in what we're talking about, because one of the things that Julie and I talk about on the daily is her having to put her mask on before she can help other people, right? And as she is stressed out and trying to, catch all these plates that are falling in the air, right? Her mask is falling off, and she can't take care of herself, let alone anybody else. And so there's this idea that we talk about of well, what can Julie do to take care of herself. And one of the things you can do is create boundaries in your life. And that's what this Jessica Miller talks about, how boundaries protect you. You don't get to control anybody else.
Yeah.
But your boundaries create like a barrier or a fence or whatever, so that you are in a healthy space for you.
It reminds me of a couple of things. First of all, I'm not ripping on your analogy, but the petitioner would say that to me when he was leaving. I've got to put the oxygen mask on myself first, just like they do in the planes. And I was like, excuse me? Wait, what?
Yeah.
So
it's a rough analogy that I struggle with too. There's got to be a better one. I think it's because we hear it all the time.
Yeah, take care of yourself. You
kind of roll your eyes. But there's truth. This Jessica Miller person, I listened to about like 4 of her YouTube episodes today just before this.
It's like a mom. She can't function and be a good mom if she hasn't taken care of herself.
Right. Well, and I'm thinking one of the things that came to me as I was listening to her stuff, and she was talking about various examples, but the one that it made me think of is if somebody has custody of kids and the other parent is supposed to show up and doesn't, what does that do to the parent that now has these kids that wasn't planning on it, right?
Well, that sounds familiar.
Like what stress, like talk about the challenges that raises for you.
It just throws off your entire day, and not to mention the fallout of the kids being disappointed because of the no-show.
Right. I mean, you can't plan your life for anybody else's.
No.
You can't even plan meals, bedtimes, like car trips, places. Like it affects everything in your life, even your finances. Like it affects everything, right? And so if there's a part of the decree that says to the parents, whether it's one or both or whatever, if you miss this visit, then the next time you have to
give notice or something.
Whatever it says in your decree. Well, some people might say that the parent who holds the other parent to that standard
is being a brat, and you're being like, this is unfair, and this is like,
you should just let them see the kid whenever the parent
just be courteous. Yeah.
You know, they made a mistake, whatever. But this is a boundary. And in this situation that we're talking about, the court ordered this boundary, right? But it's your job to enforce it. And the reason why you need to have that boundary and enforce it is because it's your piece.
Yes.
Because what happens, what Jessica talks about, is if you do not keep your boundaries, it creates resentment and ruins relationships. Yeah. And you can't afford that in this situation, it's not just the petitioner that would be affected in your relationship, but your relationship with your kids. Yeah. Right?
Like, because you become phony, when you're saying, oh, he'll be here. And when they're a no-show, you're like, oh, never mind. And then they're mad at you. Then they resent you for the mistakes of the other person. And it's just chaos. It's dysfunctional and it's heartbreak.
Cyclical. Yeah. It happens all the time.
All the time.
So these boundaries that are in place actually give you peace and protect relationships, right? So that's part of putting on your mask is holding these boundaries. And there's endless examples of boundaries. Yeah. But one that I was laughing at, I was at this like preschool parent night. I didn't really know what I'd got myself into. I thought it was like a kind of meet the teachers who your kid is up to, but it was more like let's give parents advice on parenting. It was fine, but I was like, meh. But one of the parents raised their hand and said, what do you suggest that we do to like create good boundaries between grandparents and kids? And they described that they hate these AI videos for their kids, and it makes them mad when the grandparents like show it to them. Yeah. And they think it's funny and they don't and whatever. And they're like, we're literally going to tell our parents if they show our kids any more AI videos that they can't come over anymore. And I raised my hand. And I was like, are you really going to say to your parents that they don't get to see their grandkids if they show them these, 60-second Twitter AR with talking babies or whatever? Are you willing to follow through with that? Are you really going to say we don't need any more Friday night date nights where you watch our kids, or Sunday night dinner, or whatever it is? You don't get to see the grandkids. Like, these are ridiculous boundaries. You're welcome to have them. Yeah. I mean, I didn't say it like that, but I was like, the thing about a boundary is you have to be willing to abide by it. That means that if the next time your parents do that, you actually literally have to take the kids away and not have your parents watch them anymore. Are you ready for what that means in your life? And so anyway, the reason I bring that up is because a lot of people think that like they can create boundaries and then they get to control how other people behave. And it's like, no, this is for you. And if this boundary is crossed, then you act, right? Mm-hmm. And that's part of being a peacemaker. Part of being a peacemaker is setting boundaries and living by them and creating change, right? It's not avoiding the hard conversations.
Yeah.
It's not avoiding having rules and boundaries and expectations. It's clarifying them.
That's why it reminds me of two things. Like every time I'd try to have a conversation with the petitioner or bring up something difficult, like money management or disciplining kids or whatever, we might disagree on, I would want to talk about it and he wouldn't. And I know that's typical in tons of relationships, but I'm like, we're just going to argue. He'd say, we're just going to argue. And I'm like, yeah, we might, but we've got to have the conversation. We've got to get there somehow. And if we don't start the conversation and get it going and do the hard thing and talk about something that's uncomfortable, like we'll never.
How will you ever solve it?
Yeah. Yeah. And it also reminds me of, I was on my nightly walk, probably crying and venting in my head, but I was talking to Dana on the phone, who was a strategist for family law. And this is in the beginning stages. And I was like, Dana, I don't think that I should do that. That just feels so wrong. Cause she was telling me to do discovery, which is when you, subpoena their bank statements and to get your own bank account and start separating everything and start documenting and recording things. And it felt intrusive and it felt wrong because he was still my husband. And I was still like, but she's like, Julie, he's doing this thing. And I was like, no, he's not. She's like, and she straight up said to me, you don't know that. And I was like, who the heck is this woman telling me about this man that I've been married to she said, I hear this all the time.
Yep.
And she said, I promise you, if you do these things, because I was feeling bad for him, again, defending him, loving him, giving him the benefit of the doubt. And she's like, this is actually the more merciful thing to do, is to hold him accountable, to, put his feet to the fire so then he can actually see and hear what is wrong, what is happening, what needs to be fixed, what is going to be healthy for the kids, what's going to be a healthy co-parenting. You have to show him and he needs to see it. That is more merciful. And that was making peace. But it was by doing the hard things that I did not want to do.
So this is bringing up what you were talking about earlier, the nice and kind thing.
Okay.
So this is a great segue to that. So it's a great example. So Jefferson Fisher, the attorney that I like, he's got a great voice. He's from Texas. He's got a little twang to
What kind of attorney is he?
I don't even know because he doesn't. So he's this guy who decided to go out. He decided to go out on his own. I think he worked for his dad's firm or something. Decided to do his own thing, and he didn't want to advertise like ambulance chasers. He's like, what can I do? And he's like, I want to add value to the world. So he started on Instagram with little couple-minute clips about his one of his taglines is, so try that, but he gives you tips on how to, how to deal with the narcissist, or 3 ways to say this, or what, like all of these different, it's communication gold, relationship gold. And he's just like taken off like wildfire. He's got a book that's a top seller. He is super.
And you listen to him faithfully.
I love this guy. Yeah. I take breaks on everybody, but like I was listening to him today. I wanted to re-listen to this episode that I want to talk about now. Because I listened to it at the gym and I was like, I'm not remembering this all the way. So I went back and listened to it. And he talks about being nice versus kind. And even like the root of the words, being nice. Now, I don't have my notes because we're recording with my phone, but did I send you nice versus kind?
I don't know. Just this one?
I think
peacemakers versus peacekeepers.
No, was there another one? I think I sent you 2.
Yes, you did.
Okay, awesome. So nice started as being ignorant or naive. That's what the word was used as. And then we started using it as pleasant or polite. Nice is surface. It has no depth. And it's concerned about appearance. Nice people pleases. When you're nice, other people use you. Whereas kind comes from family and connection. Nice is harmony. Kind is honesty. Nice is not authentic. It's corrosive. It makes you feel empty. Nice is a tone that you use.
It is a tone I use because I'm always like, oh, that's nice. How nice.
Exactly. He says, stop being nice at the expense of being real. Stop playing nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice gets steamrolled.
Nice sounds fake.
It can. But his point is, when you are nice, like, let's say somebody asked you to go, or like, hey, can you babysit my kids this day? Well, the nice thing to do would be to say yes.
Mm-hmm.
But he says, listen to your gut. If your gut says no, for whatever reason, you listen to it. Your answer should be the first thing out of your mouth. It's like, he says, if you have a good relationship with them and you know that they'll respond to the why, then you can tell them why, right? It doesn't have to be this like kind of curt exchange, but you say no, and then you kind of like make a clear reason. Depends on who it is, but like you basically say no and don't have to like clarify. He'll say, I'm trying to come up with the different things that he said.
What about your mom's example?
Well, yeah, that's different though. I mean, it's the same but different. My mom, what Julie's talking about is my mom was working the floor at REI as a merchandiser, and she'd eaten lunch, and at the end of the day, she goes to the mirror and sees that her lunch is still on her tooth. She's got this black seed or whatever. And she comes home and she says, I just learned that I have no friends. And I was like, what? And she says, well, I ate lunch and then I talked to 5 different people or however many people, and nobody told me that I had something stuck on my teeth. And her point was that a real friend would not let her walk around with that in her mouth, right? The nice thing to do is to ignore and be polite and say nothing to the person. The kind thing to do is to tell the person, right? The kind thing is what promotes change. The kind thing is, so like the example of watching my kid, right? You say no if your gut says no. That's the kind thing to do would be to say no, because you're not building the negative feeling towards the person, right? Like if it's not good and healthy for you for whatever reason, then but you say yes, then the other person's not really responsible for it, but you create these ill feelings towards the other person.
Yeah.
And that creates bad relationships eventually, right?
It's kind of like dating,
resentment,
right?
is the word I'm looking for. Yeah.
It's like when, somebody asks you on a date or whatever and you ghost them, and you just don't respond. You don't respond. Like it's nice they're getting the hint, but like the kind thing to do would be to straight up say, I don't think that this is going to work, instead of leading them on. Yeah. Because otherwise you'll be like, he won't stop calling me. Like, what a loser. And again, building up resentment and building up like spite and like you're bugged every time. Just do the kind thing.
And it's the kind thing is the hard thing, because in the same kind of analogy, I had a few guys in college say, I would rather have a girl turn me down for a date than go on a pity date, because I'm wasting money on her that I could be spending on somebody who's actually interested in me. Right. So the kind thing, it's hard to say I'm actually not interested. Mm-hmm. And maybe in college you just want to go on the date because you want the nice dinner or whatever, right? But the kind thing is to not use the people.
I have my example kind of with my next door neighbor who was screaming profanities and, brought that knife out and everything. And for so long, every time he yelled, I'd say, I'd shush the kids and just shuffle them into the house. Just go
that's
inside.
Peacekeeping.
Yes. Just being nice, like letting it all go.
Being passive.
And, keeping the peace and shuffling them inside. Just go inside. Just ignore
Minimizing
them. Just go
conflict is another one.
Minimizing it all. And then until he finally, it just kept happening. Every time my kids were outside, they were scared of him. He's yelling at them. And I mean saying bad, awful words. I mean, calling them the N-word. These little kids, It's
mind-boggling to me.
And flipping them off. I'm like, you're like 60-year-old man. Like, what are you doing? So... But I did that for a long time because I was like, I'm trying to keep the peace, when really it was doing the opposite. It just kind of gave him this more power to just reoffend, just keep insulting everyone. So finally, you know the story, I confronted him when he was out there screaming, and I said, stop. It is time to stop. You need to stop yelling at that. And he started swearing at me, and I said, no, you don't get to swear at me. You don't get, I'll say whatever I want to say to you and F-bomb this and F that. And I was like, no, you do not get to say that to me. And I will call and I will get a restraining order. You will not be able to have contact. Like, enough is enough. Don't talk to me like that. Don't talk to the kids like that. Yeah. And I have not heard from him since.
Good.
Yeah. And it created...
He probably knows because you called the cops. Well, the cops came and you did press charges, that you will keep those boundaries.
Yeah.
You declared the boundary, and now the next time he comes, you will show him that you're going to hold that boundary. You will call the cops.
So some people commented and said, "Oh, Julie, you're in the wrong. You just made it worse." And I was like, well, first of all, this is like the 20th time, and enough was enough. And I think that this was actually creating peace. Peace in my own heart, in the lives of my own kids who are afraid to go outside because A, he has not returned. And B, it's being a peacemaker. It's doing the hard thing that I did not want to do, was confront and to have the hard conversation. May not have been a peaceful conversation, but doesn't mean that we need to avoid conflict just to keep the peace.
You cannot avoid conflict
Yeah.
and make peace. I mean, and I think that, I mean, this is not relationship or divorce or anything based, so we don't need to go down these roads. But you have to remember that we tend as human beings to conflate issues. And yeah, like being a peacekeeper works when you're talking politics, when you're talking geopolitical stuff, right? Yeah, you keep peace by not firing weapons, by, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like there's different ways to think of it, and that might be appropriate in that setting. But when you're talking about relationships, you do not want to be a peacekeeper because you're keeping the status quo. You want to improve relationships. You want to keep your relationships. You don't want to keep them stagnant because then they deteriorate.
Yeah.
And there's that resentment.
Here is some more things to kind of help you guys understand the difference between peacekeepers and peacemakers. Peacekeepers are afraid of conflict, right? We talked about sweeping things under the rug and just batting it away.
Nobody blames anybody for not liking conflict.
Right.
Nobody likes conflict.
And it leads to ongoing problems like people-pleasing tendencies and being treated like a doormat, lack of confidence or self-worth, codependency, and anxiety or depression. And I would venture to say that half of the women in the church feel this way.
I think half
not
the women
more.
in general,
Yeah.
just in society, feel that way.
You may be working overtime to keep the peace in your family. But you don't see the results for all your efforts. Your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual health can suffer if you strive to be a peacemaker. I was like, what? And then you want to read the peacemaker?
Oh, you said peacemaker last time. If you strive to be a peacekeeper.
Did it say that? Did I read it wrong?
Right there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Peacekeeper.
Yes. Your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual health can suffer if you strive to be a peacekeeper. But then characteristics of a peacemaker is not afraid of conflict, though he or she does not seek it out. Peacemaking people stay calm and self-controlled during conflicts, which, you guys, that is a skill that you have to develop. That, I mean, when we talk about this is the ideal. And Jefferson Fisher, one of the reasons I love him is he is so, he's kind of like Steve,
who's my attorney.
Yeah, your attorney. Just so even keeled, like he doesn't get super emotional and
cool as a
like,
cucumber.
Yeah, like he has a nice. I want everybody to listen to this episode. It's so good. But he just talks about how like you can. Well, one of the things that he says is people pleasing is fine as long as you're one of those people that you're pleasing. So, but he can have. Oh, your phone locked. You can have a peacemaker type conversation, a kind conversation, while also having a nice tone, right? Like he is very, I can't think of the word. My brain is dead tonight. I'm having so many like stumble over my words moments, but it's not like regulated maybe is a word I could use. Anyway, but you can be that way when you're peacemaking, but don't be discouraged if it doesn't happen instantly, basically, kidding. Because that to be able to not be emotional is something we all have to work at. Yeah. So, okay. So a peacemaker is not afraid of conflict, though he or she does not seek it out. Peacemaking people stay calm and self-controlled during conflicts, and they help others arrive at an agreeable solution. They're reasonable and level-headed, show grace to others, listen well and share wisdom, bears the fruits of the Spirit. And there's a scripture there. It's Galatians 5:22 through 23. And they promote unity and reconciliation. I think, so I'll say this too. Peacemakers not only bring peace into their personal conflicts, but can serve as mediators for people in other conflicts. They trust God to give them the guidance they need to act wisely in difficult situations.
But not corrupt mediators.
Every one of us can become a peacemaker with guidance from God, practice, and compassionate help. And this, so what we just read came from this Christian counseling website, because I wanted to see, is this like a mainstream Christian thing or just an LDS thing, or this idea of peacekeeping versus peacemaking. And it's everywhere. It's not, it doesn't know a religious boundary. Like it's all over counseling, all over every religion.
I just think that most of us that are listening did not know that there was a difference. I sure didn't. It was just keeping the peace.
Well, it's confusing.
Yeah. It meant just being quiet, not letting your voice get loud, not getting offended, not saying what you want to say because it might not be the norm, or it might go up against what someone else is saying. But like, it's all crap. Like,
well, it
doesn't mean we can't have an opinion and state it. You know?
Well, okay. So, have you heard of Frank Slope? Do you know who that is? Have you heard of Fridays with Frank?
Maybe.
So Frank works in Pinal County, and he got kind of well known as a traffic cop that they have on YouTube. He's very even-tempered. And
maybe I know because you sent me something from
I
him.
may have, but he started to do Frank Reacts videos now, where he watches like
cops.
Body cam footage.
Yeah.
And he's usually funny, and I usually agree with him. And he just goes over footage, and it's interesting. And in fact, he's literally made a game out of it. He he calls it bingo, but it's really tic-tac-toe because his board's not big enough. But he puts phrases that people say when they're getting arrested. And like every time somebody in these videos say it, he crosses it out, right? He's trying to get a bingo. Anyway, it's pretty funny. But the thing that surprised me, and this is even as a cop's kid, it surprised me watching these videos, because I literally fall asleep to them. I'm not kidding. James and I will lay in bed and watch these videos till we fall asleep. I don't know why they entertain us so much. They just do. I think it's because Frank reminds me a lot of my dad, maybe.
Yeah.
But
because he was an actual cop, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He only did patrol for like 10 years maybe, and he was a detective and forensic guy and whatever for the rest of his career. But anyway, but like this world is not new to me.
Yeah.
And I was still surprised watching these videos how regulated these cops are.
Even-tempered, maybe that's
even-tempered, yeah. I think they get a bad rap. I think the media covers the worst of the worst, just like they do in any occupation, right? Obviously, I'm biased, right? But I was surprised to see some of the people that they interact with, because if I had to interact with them, I would not be as kind or patient, or like, they really take care of people and are, I mean, even like the drunkest of the drunk people, or like literally crazy people, or evil people, entitled people, all of it. You see it all. And they don't like, I mean, 95% of the videos I watch, the cops do not egg them on. They are it is shocking to me just because of the bad rap that they get. And as you're talking, I'm thinking, you're like, cops are the best example of trying to figure out, when you say most people don't know there's a difference between being a peacekeeper and a peacemaker. Yeah. I think if you watch enough of these cop videos, you see that there are situations where cops are peacekeepers. Yeah. But a lot of the time they're peacemakers, right? They show up to these scenes and they talk things through, and they don't want to separate families, and they don't want to take people to jail. They don't, I mean, what a lot of people don't realize is like, cops like to be out protecting. They don't like to be writing reports. Right. They don't like to be showing up to court, right? I
mean, a cop is a perfect example of this, because they might have to shoot somebody to have peace. Right. To keep the peace.
And you have to think too, like, you know, when I was talking about the fact that it goes as far as geopolitical arenas, right? Like, peace goes through all of these spaces and affect people differently. So if a cop has to use lethal force, that's not peaceful for the person who got the bullet. Right. But it creates peace for everybody else. Right. And in these situations, making peace doesn't always mean that everybody is happy, that everybody feels the peace, but it means that there's peace for the rest of people.
The greater good.
Yeah, exactly. Like we talked about last time, the greater good. So if you look at cops, they have to determine, what does it look like to make peace in this situation? How do we get peace and for the greatest amount of people, right? But there are cops that don't do their job that well, and they're peacekeepers. and that they respond in a way that they shouldn't respond.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like in any position, the cops are they have dash cams so everything is exposed. But it reminds me of a girlfriend, and then we'll wrap this up. She's a personal trainer. And after 8 years of training this person, she went to the gym one day and saw her client with another trainer. And she was heartbroken. She's like, this was 8 years of training this person, and she's just didn't even inform me. And my friend it was just eating her alive. She didn't even want to go to the gym anymore. She would just cry when she saw this new relationship, and she's like, I poured into this client and I loved her, and I would train her at her home if she needed me to. And it was just like this betrayal. But she's like, she's like, I knew that it was eating me up, and I knew that it was creating havoc on my peace. Mm-hmm. So she's, just finally had a conversation, mostly with the other trainer to say, you knew that this was my client. Mm-hmm. You knew. And
you stepped on my toes.
Yeah. And you didn't even say anything like, hey, sorry, she called me. Is it okay if I train her? Like nothing. And she said the conversation went really well. And she's like, and I just felt better. Number one, because she had the difficult conversation. She made the difficult move. She wanted to make peace with the trainer, with the client, with herself, instead of just pushing it all away, avoiding conflict, being a peacekeeper, right? Yeah. She wanted to make peace, keep it for herself and she's like, I knew I needed this more for me than anyone. Mm-hmm. So for all of you out there that are stuck in this mindset, like I was, of just keeping the peace at all costs and believing that means quiet. In the MTC, I hated this word that they would always, the missionary training center, before you go into your field, like I was serving in Paraguay for 2 months, you go to the MTC to learn how to be a missionary and how to speak the language. And all they said to me, to all of the girls, well, to everyone, but it was really hard on the girls. They were hard on the girls. Now remember, sisters, quiet dignity. And I was like, if I hear those freaking 2 words together, I'm going to lose my mind. They wanted us to be quiet with dignity. And
I don't even know how to internalize that.
I don't know. So how do you think these, 21-year-old girls at the time, because the missionary rule hadn't changed yet, we were walking around like, I felt like a Barbie doll, like, look the part, because I'm not trying to rip on, the church or the MTC, because things have changed. Now they can wear pants, for heaven's sakes.
I think it's like a cultural time period kind of thing.
And I was like, I'm a Zennial, right? Born in 81. So you walk in and they literally, they'd have the boys turn around in a circle to check your haircut. But they didn't check our haircuts, but they still made the women, the sisters, turn around in a circle and they would inspect you. And she inspected my dress.
There is no way they do that still.
I hope not.
I have a kid going soon. I'm going to ask all these questions.
But you just drop them off now. But this, you won't see it.
No, she'll tell me.
I hope so, because
I
remember like doing a full turn, like about face, and she like moved my shoulders as I turned, and she's like,
"This is crazy."
Yeah, I'm still active. I love the church. People are messed up, but
well, I've got to say, my mom worked so there's like a ward level that has your congregation of like 300 or 400 people, and then a stake has like 10 to 12 wards, like in one stake, right? So that's however many people, several thousand people, 3,000-4,000 people. My mom was in charge of all of the young women in that stake, in that 3,000 or 4,000 people, right? And she had to go to a young women's president, so on a ward level, because she got a phone call that young women's president was measuring the girls' like skirts before they came in, and she wouldn't let them into the young women's room if they weren't dressed to her standard. And my mom was like, "Oh no, this is not happening on my watch. You welcome all of these girls in here, regardless of how they look." And from my experience in the church, I've never experienced what you're talking about in the MTC or what my mom had.
This was
my
MTC.
stake that I grew up in, and I never experienced that. Right? Like, it could be based on who the. I don't know what it is in the MTC because I've never been, but like the temple will have a temple matron. I wonder if there's like a woman over the MTC, or if it's like...
This was just like, I think, a volunteer missionary or someone who worked at the MTC, but she turned my shoulders. She looked me up and down and she said, "Sister, you pass, but there are probably too many flowers on your dress." I will
What?
never forget this. And I will post the dress that I wore because it's my missionary plaque dress. And she would do the same with the missionaries with their haircuts. But it was
just like this
one
lady, though.
I don't know. I'm sure
Did
that
she see
was
all of the sisters?
Yeah, it was like we were in this lineup, like this assembly line.
Everyone in the MTC, or was it everybody going to your mission?
No, everybody coming into the MTC that
the
Wednesday.
day that you went. Because I know that they have, like, at least now, they have sisters like that work one day. So it would be like the Wednesday sister. It'd be. But so I wonder if that was the standard or if it was that woman.
Yeah, either way. Could have been.
Either way, that is crazy.
It's totally inappropriate now.
I would have gotten there that day and probably left the same day.
Oh my gosh, I know. Me. So yeah, but this is when I didn't understand. I was just following the rules, right? But
please tell me it's not like that. I'm asking my kid, and she's there.
I'm sure it's not because now they wear pants. But my dress had too many flowers. But again, this is going to tick some people off. She was only checking the boys and their haircuts, but she was checking what we wore. You know. And then they'd say, "Now, sisters, remember quiet dignity." And I was like, "What the crap?" We're supposed to be missionaries and remember, abrir la boca, open the mouth and testify. I mean, these prophets were on the top of the walls getting shot at with arrows and talking, in different lands and preaching in languages to speak to the people. But you want me to just be quiet and be dignified?
I don't even know what that, like, I know what those words, if I could look them up in the dictionary and I could define them. It creates
so much confusion.
Right. Like, I don't even know what that looks like you define that in your brain. And then how do I exemplify that? How do I act that way?
Oh yeah, because I'd sit there and be like, quiet dignity, but you want me to prophesy and be not prophesy. I meant preach. What is it?
Yeah, preach probably.
Proselyte is the word I'm looking for.
Proselyte, yeah.
But you want me to proselyte as a missionary and be bold and be brave and have the Spirit with you, and the Spirit of God is like a fire is burning, but be quiet with dignity. So I was like, wait, which is it? And I'm 21 years old. Like, if I'm loud and like, I love the gospel and read the book, they'll be like, and I know when the petitioner was in the tabernacle choir, if he was too boisterous, like singing a solo, they'd tell him to back off, So, I mean, it just created a lot of confusion. So, I have a quote for you to leave with. My mom gave it to me. So I feel like I'm going to share it with all women everywhere because it's not me that found the quote and loved it. She found it for me, thought of me, and gave it to me. And I have it on my fridge. And it says, well-behaved women seldom make history.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one. I
right?
know that one.
Yeah. It's a well-known one. But like, what does that mean to you? Well-behaved women seldom make history. Like, I don't think we're going out and stripping down and being these crazies out on the street.
It means you don't follow the status quo.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not just being a crazy person. It is being bold in your beliefs and speaking out loud when you shouldn't be.
Implies intentionality.
Yeah.
Like you do things on purpose, not to be reckless, but there's a purpose for what you're doing, even though it seems reckless. It's not reckless. It's intentional.
So hopefully this doesn't discourage sisters from going. Be bold in what you want to say.
I can say I'm pretty confident that what she described is not a thing anymore. I have a lot of young women that I know that have been on missions. I have lots of family members that have been on missions in the last, how many years has it been for you?
Over 20.
Yeah. In the last 5-10 years. And I don't think it is that way anymore.
Yeah.
And
I just remember like looking, going in a circle, like, what the heck is that? You're inspecting me? Like I'm not being do you think that I have cleavage?
Well, no, I think the thought process there had to have been, these are ambassadors for the church. We want to make sure that the people who are going out wearing Christ's name.
Yeah, I get it.
That they have this like appearance. They just didn't understand what they were actually doing and how not just mortifying, but harmful it is, right? Yeah. The thought process was so backwards.
They don't want, missionaries to have facial hair and even in my mission, there was a couple that left the church because he wanted to keep his mustache, but the stake president wouldn't allow it.
What?
So just dumb stuff like that, right? But the church has changed their tune. Like me and the petitioner at one point were the poster children, the poster people for the church, the Mormon campaign, when we were proud of this is I am a Mormon, .org or whatever.
Do you know where the title Mormon came from? It was a derogatory term that they spewed at us, in crowds, like Joseph Smith Day.
Those Mormons?
Early in the 1800s, right? When the Book of Mormon first came out, and Joseph Smith was around, all of those things. And rather than try and get them to stop saying it. They just embraced it.
Right. And we did that like with the Mormon musical, the Book of Mormon musical. You've seen the play, now read the book. Like,
yeah, they bought an ad in the playbill. Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah.
So, anyway, I've lost my train of thought, but
because I interrupted you,
which
that's everybody loves.
It's okay. I interrupt you too all the time. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to end with, though. Like,
don't be a well-behaved woman.
Yeah, and speak your mind.
I think tact. Can we just say be a tactful woman?
Yeah.
Like, I think that we just need to have a more well-rounded idea of women.
That's where I was going with this. Was now you know, they wanted to be clean cut and no facial hair, the appearance of perfection. You know, as a missionary and as ambassadors of the church.
Which the word perfection is triggering for a lot of people.
Yeah.
We do not believe we are perfect, nor can we ever be perfect without the Savior, just to clarify.
And, you know, it develops scrupulosity, I think, you know, big time. And so now they accept dreadlocks. I remember, this is not a diss on my mom because this is something she had never seen. I can't stop talking. She gave me, is that have caffeine?
Yes, it has.
She gave me caffeine and I'm feeling, look guys, I had a Dr. Pepper with creamy coconut, 0 sugar.
She drank the whole thing.
I don't even drink pop. My nose was burning, my eyes were watering, and my throat was like on fire, but it was so good.
I'm the bad friend.
And I have some energy. I'm like, let's go, let's do this.
Like you can't hang out with that girl
anymore. It's going to be 11 o'clock, for heaven's sakes. The kids don't have school tomorrow. Hopefully they'll sleep in. But my mom was serving her mission with my dad. My dad was mission president in New Jersey. And I remember her calling us to say, Julie, the bishop has dreadlocks. And she's like, and the women come in with short mini skirts and cleavage. And I'm like, and Mom, isn't it great? They all love Jesus. They're all there for the same reason. They're all there to worship, you know, and be together. But in church in Utah, we are all dressed in our Sunday best. We all look the same. So for her, she's like, this has been eye-opening to see somebody with dreadlocks or somebody with a mini skirt or cleavage that I would consider totally pornographic, but they're in church. But it was so good for her to see that.
Well, a lot of people who haven't been raised outside of Utah, they need that experience. Yeah.
To love people regardless, you know? And so hopefully that has now changed in the MTC, so you don't feel judged and like...
I will report back soon, because I've got a kid that will be going before I know it.
Really?
Oh, yeah. We're putting papers... Gosh. I mean, I say we. I'm not doing any of it.
She's doing it?
Yeah, she's just got one
more
interview.
Quiet dignity. I'm like, what the crap? Quiet my rear. Like...
There's a reason I didn't go on a mission. Maybe it's that. Maybe Heavenly Father knew that I couldn't
Because then you felt like you were sinning if you were loud. You felt like if you were loud, you were sinning. And if you weren't dignified and you were joking or laughing... that you weren't dignified, and then you're like, I'm a bad missionary. Like, it was bad.
I don't think I would process it like that. I think I would just be like, this is a joke.
You say that now, right? And as a matured woman.
No, I have always been
really?
Like, my dad would tell me, don't cut off your nose to spite your face. I'd be like, I don't even know what that means. That's stupid. And now I get what it means. But I came full of opinions, and I am now able to see that I'm not always right, but I was always right at that age, for sure, right? And I don't allow many people to make me feel like I'm hard to gaslight. At least I used to be. I don't know if I still am. But like I was just, because I had parents that told me I was beautiful and capable and smart and I could do anything I wanted and blah, blah, blah. And I believed them. Yeah. And so if somebody was trying to make me feel like that, I would probably laugh at them.
I don't know that I felt like that then. I was just like, oh, this is what everybody does. I didn't feel like I do today. Like, how dare you? You don't get to tell me.
You said that it would make you feel like you were doing something wrong no matter what.
Yeah.
And I'd
all the mission rules
I'd
did.
I'd probably be like, no, I'm doing it right. You're
but
doing
also
it wrong.
Remember, like if a missionary, if you were like me, a little scrupulous, I think we all are in the mission field because you want to be obedient.
You want all the blessings
that will bring the Spirit. You'll be able to baptize. If you got up at 6:32 and you missed
you're supposed to get up at 6:30.
Right. And you miss an appointment, you're like, it's because I got up at 6:32.
Oh boy. That's not healthy.
You know? And so you so badly want to be so good for Christ and be who he wants you to be, that you're following everything to the point where you make yourself insane on a mission. I understand the missionaries that have anxiety and come home because it's
I never faced
it's unbearable sometimes.
I think it's my ADHD. I don't have the capacity to be scrupulous because I forget everything.
Well, but it was nice to have my parents say, Julie, like you need a balance. Yeah. And if you got up at 6:32 and a baptism didn't go through, it is not because you got up at 6:32.
No, because that takes away agency from other people. It's like illogical.
So I had, family at home that would help keep you balanced and grounded, but not all missionaries had that and would lose their mind or
it's a lot of pressure
blame
that
themselves.
People put on themselves.
Yeah. And then you feel like a failure, and it affects you the rest of your life. So having this 18-year marriage all of a sudden go to crap for me, like I'm second guessing all of my decisions. And I appreciate all of you who have chimed in and said, just because this has happened does not mean that you didn't receive a right answer from God, or just because it's this way now doesn't mean you didn't make the right decision then. And it helps me because I think I have poor taste in men. I have crappy revelation that I don't understand.
We're not going down that route.
No, we're not. But that's what I do.
We're not going to allow you to gaslight yourself. We're over it. We're not gaslighting ourselves. And I am so grateful that in the last 5 years, we have a word for that.
Which is gaslight. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That we can now articulate what it looks like when other people do it and when we do it to ourselves.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a tool therapists will say, like, name it to tame it, right? Like you name your emotion in order to regulate it.
Right.
And it's the same way. You see it as gaslighting so that you can stop it.
Right.
And you can turn it around.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the scrupulosity is similar. If you can notice it and say, which I don't know, we might need to define that word. You've used it a couple times, and I don't know that everybody knows what it is, but it's religious OCD.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty common, not just in LDS culture, but in a lot of religious cultures.
Yeah.
When you're striving to always be like Jesus.
Yep.
And you feel
but to your detriment, like to where
like OCD.
Yeah.
Like you wash your hands. Washing your hands is good. Washing your hands 15 times is bad. Like in a row, right? It's the same thing. Like you have to read your scriptures. That's good. You don't have to read your scriptures for 6 minutes and 52 seconds every day or whatever. You know
or it's like my nephew on his mission would be, if I don't talk to that person, then I'm going to be held accountable because I didn't talk to them and invite them to join the church and listen to the gospel. If I don't talk to them, then I'm going to be the one. And you just go down this rabbit hole. And I'm not saying I was scrupulous in the mission, but I did want to be the best that I could be so that I could tell my Heavenly Father at the end of the day, like I gave it my all and I did everything that I could.
And healthy.
But I did the same in my marriage. And so for that to happen and to do it's like I'm not patting myself on the back and we have got to stop.
This is our longest episode
Oh my gosh. Who would have thought?
It's the caffeine. I gave her caffeine.
It really is. I'm like, let's go. Oh my gosh. I feel clear and clear-headed and I've got some energy and no headache. But
I will say that everybody, Jared Halverson talks about proving contraries, right? Justice and mercy. You need both of them. They're both good, but any of these combinations, like faith and doubt, right? Like you need them, but any one left alone, unchecked, will be too much and cause problems, right?
Yeah.
And I think what you're describing is like you wanted to, like having that accountability and taking personal accountability and knowing that you are going to be at the foot of the Savior and you're going to be accountable. Like, I think that promotes growth and all of these really good things. But then that contrary on the other side is being too harsh on yourself and too judgmental and condemning yourself, right? Like you have to be able to balance with mercy.
Other people's agency also. I cannot control, what he did.
You can't. But as far as how you think and how you look at things, you have to give yourself grace and mercy and personal accountability. Like that is really important. And a lot of people lack that. Yeah. I think a lot of people would still be married if both parties have personal accountability.
And that's the thing. Like I go all in.
It's a strength. It is a strength that you have.
I hope so.
But it can also be a weakness when it's not met with mercy and grace.
Yeah. Because like with Adana's back being fractured, I am like, we're going to every doctor appointment. We're going to get you a brace. We're going to go to physical therapy. I'm going to get stem cell injection. I'm going to call this guy for a second opinion. I am like hardcore all in. When I did a project for school, I spent time on it. I wanted to make sure that it was exactly what the teacher wanted and what felt good and honest to me. I did the same with my marriage. I did the same thing on my mission. Sometime I'll have to tell you the experience I had in the Asuncion temple in Paraguay where I asked like, God, are you proud of me? Because so many times in my mission, I was in trouble by my mission president who I did not get along with. And I was the first time, probably first and only, that I felt a rush of the Spirit where it's like, you felt the gust of wind.
Wow.
I never have felt it again, but I felt that in the celestial room at the temple as if somebody had like a fan had gone by me really fast. This
Wow,
gust of wind.
that would be cool.
It was cool. So anyway, this got long and it went to a place we didn't think it would go.
And I interrupted a ton.
And so did I.
You got your train of thought back, so we win.
Did. I was like,
you
wait, where was
didn't
I
lose
going?
out on any content because I interrupted her.
That's right.
In fact, I think they get more content when we interrupt each other.
Yeah.
That's the whole idea, is we propel each other forward. So if you don't like it, it's the way we work.
Sorry, it's really late, and I've got some caffeine. I'm going to go run a marathon right now. So anyway, give us some comments on this. What did you think? What do you have questions about? What are your opinions on peacemaking and peacekeeping and nice versus kind? What do you guys think? And we'll see you next week with some more conversations with Carly.
So now you know what it means to be gritty. It can be dirty, but you're still so pretty. Now make a pledge and never take no pity. Baby, welcome to the gritty committee. She's a gritty girl and she got gritty plans. So get out the way so she can wash her hands of the blame and the shame and the claiming that she would never be enough.